check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Okay, so I gotta get these fenders on. I got my fender beating here. I'm gonna get these fenders on. It'd be a lot easier if I could lift this car up, but it's not running at the moment until I get the carburetor situated. So I'm just gonna have to kind of reach up under there a little bit and get those bolts in. So let's do that, and then I'll start focusing on basically how to mount and cut out the running board out of the wood. Holy moly! Everybody keeps saying that this car is easy to work on, but man, it's just hard to reach some stuff. You know, if I was smart, I'd have this up on a lift and have the wheel off, and of course it would go on a lot easier. But I'm not gonna mess with all that. I'll get her done. Let's drop this in here. So I'm just going to show you this, just in case you've never done anything like this. There was the first time for me too. So basically you're just going to get your fender bolted up there. You're going to just drop this liner, or this fender bead in. It's going to have little cutouts to go around every single bolt. It lines up relatively well. You're just going to get it kind of started, kind of in position here, like so. And then you're just going to start tightening down your bolts. Now you're going to have to get your hand under there and kind of push that up as well, because you can see right through here it wants to drop down into that gap. So just go slow, go one bolt a little bit at a time. Make sure that bead is fully up out of that, in between there, not falling down in between the two pieces. And just take your time, and it's a pretty easy process. Alright, that's how it should look when it's finished. I put that in a time lapse because I don't know what it is, but it always takes me so long to get that lined up right. So you're gonna have a little excess hanging on the back. You're gonna have a little excess hanging in the front. So you just want to get yourself a really sharp blade and just trim that off right here at the edge. And that's it. Now I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna grab the wood and I'm going to bring it in here and see if I can't match these curves to these fenders so it slides right in there nice and tight. Whew! Well, all I can say is thank God for video editing, because what seemed maybe like 30 seconds on video, I was like an hour process, because these back wide fenders are fiberglass and a couple of the holes did not line up, and that just became a much bigger job than that should have been. But that's why we always say that working on Volkswagens, because it's 100% true. So let me flip this camera around and show you the back fender. So I had a hole right down here and a hole right up one of these two holes. The holes drilled through the fender did not match up with the threaded holes in the body. So I had to take a drill and a Dremel and just carve away at that. I got it to go good though. So with these being fiberglass fenders, when you bolt these up, you're going to want to definitely use a washer, because you don't want to snug these down really good and have the head of that bolt to kind of go through and crack or break that fiberglass. So make sure you use a washer if you're one of the big booty people here. So all right, that's it. So this one I was able to do without really cramming my arms in there, because these wheels, the offset just isn't far out enough for these fenders. So I had a lot of room. So I think what I'm going to do to compensate for this gap that's there is I'm going to get the wide disc brake conversion for the back, which bumps the brakes out 1 inch, I do have spacers, a 1-inch spacer for these, but I'm kind of iffy on putting a spacer between your brake and the wheel. I don't know, just doesn't seem like the greatest idea, because it's not one of the ones that bolt on. It's ones where the lug bolt goes through the wheel, through the spacer, and then into the brake or the drum. So here's what it looks like. Man, this thing looks so good. So now I'm going to move on to figuring out how to fill in this space with the wood that I bought at Lowe's. I'm going to show you how I'm going to try to match this angle. All right, so here's the wood that I got. I'll rip the label off so you can see. It's pressure treated. It's not intended for ground contact. It's a 1x6x8. So I think when this is stained and then sealed, it's going to be just fine. I'm going to have to let it dry out a little bit, I think, before I do all that, because it is pressure treated. But we're going to get it on here and test fit it and everything, and then I'll let it dry out for a week, and then I'll go ahead and probably stain it after that. Okay, now the inner edge where the running boards go, it's not a perfect straight line. It actually curves a little bit. But what we're going to have to do is get a measurement from where the fender meets the body here to where the fender and the body, or the fender meets the body up front, and get that measurement, and we're going to mark it out on this board. 52 3/4. Okay, so I just laid the piece of wood down here, and I just want to cut it a few inches longer than what it needs to be. So I'm just going to zip off the last 3.5 foot of this, just so it's a little bit easier to work with before I move on. Alright, this isn't the easiest video to make because I've only done this one other time and it wasn't perfect. I'm trying to make it as perfect as possible while still not really knowing what I'm doing and still trying to not look like I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm just using a piece of cardboard, and right now I'm just trying to match this curve. I can just take a pencil. Ooh, it's tough. It's tough trying to make stuff custom, especially when you're in Punchy's garage and we got limited tools and resources. Alright, so now I'm just using some cardboard and trial by error and getting this shape to match as close as I can. The little bit of a gap in between, you can see it's pretty accurate there. So then I'm going to take this cardboard, I'm going to take it down to my piece of wood here, and I'm going to match that up. Okay, get a jigsaw, cut this off. Alright, that should match my back curve. Like just about so. Now what I gotta do is I got a little bit of a curve right here in the body. So in order to try to match that up, I'm going to hold this under here. Do a pencil line there. And then I'm going to get a measurement from the front of the fender here, which would be this point. And I'm going to get a measurement to like the peak of that curve, which is basically this door seam. I can see it curves out the most right there, so I'm going to basically take this measurement, which is 14 1/4. Alright, so I'm going to take my measurement from the fender here to the fender there, which is 52 1/2. I got my shape matched out here. I'm going to go 52 1/2. Go 52 1/2 from this line right here, which would be this point here. Make my mark. I'm going to remeasure from right here to where that peak of this curve is, which is basically the door seam. That's 14 1/4. I'm going to measure from this point, which would be this point, right? 14 1/4. So from here to there is that same measurement. Take my cardboard. Okay, well, this isn't as exactly the best video for what I'm doing here, because everything was just trial and error to get these curves to match up. Pretty much just using cardboard, trying to match that curve until it's just right before I cut it in the wood. And you got to count for this little bit of a curve that goes around here. So it's just kind of trial and error, honestly. Wish I could tell you an easier way to do this and explain it all step by step like I thought I was going to do, but I didn't. So you can see the gap there. It's pretty good. Once I get this mounted in place, that won't go anywhere. And then just a little rubber grommet in between, just to kind of act as a little bit of a vibration reducer and a protect the paint type of thing. But that's kind of what it's going to look like right there. I got it propped up for now. But that curve is matched pretty good. I'm gonna sand this down. I'm going to stain it and seal it, and I got a stain. Hopefully the stain will be pretty close to this vinyl that I have on the side here. It's kind of where I'm at right now. It's gonna get dark out here. This took about 2 hours longer than I anticipated, between getting the fenders on, getting that thing matched up to where it's cut out just right. Now the good thing is you only have to do it once. Take this board, use it as a template, lay it on your other board, and cut it out to the same shape. Now before you do all your cuts, make sure you got the side of the board you want to use. So I chose to use the smoother side. Less knots, still got a knot right there. I didn't want to completely eliminate them, but this side was the better side. So make sure you determine that before you go making cuts, and then you got a big ugly knot on one side exposed. All right. I think I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to come back, do another video of this stained and sealed, and I'm going to show you how I mounted it to the fenders here and how I mounted it to the body underneath. I have a pretty good plan, but I need to figure it out before I go ahead and add it to this video. So I think this is going to look pretty good. I don't typically see wooden running boards on bugs. I know they're out there, and I know somebody's probably come up with a much easier way than what I've been doing, but I think this is going to work for me, for Punchy's Garage. It's good. All right. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.